Hi, my name is Summer, and welcome to Sessions. Tonight we have Profit. He's based right out of YYC, and he's going to be putting us onto his sound. So say what's up to Profit.
What up, how y'all doing? I appreciate y'all for having me on.
What's up, how you been?
Pretty good, I can't complain. Staying safe and staying healthy through all this madness that's going on lately.
Facts. Honestly, we were actually just breaking it down right before this whole thing went down, and we were talking some deep things for a minute. Yeah,
for real.
From the pandemic to Bill Gates to the we were talking about everything. So I want to give people an insight. I think it's a play on words, like you were saying earlier, your name, Profit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I feel like you're a really wise person. So let's put the people on. Let's put them on to what we were talking about earlier. We were talking about the pandemic and how COVID is a questionable subject.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said earlier, when the virus first popped off and the quarantine first began, I actually did some research into it and found out many different things, including the fact that it was actually created by an amalgamation of the two separate coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. And there's also many different interesting observations, such as the fact that the coronavirus actually has a patent held by the Purebred Institute, mm-hmm. which is essentially funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So because of that, there's that among many other reasons, there's a lot of questionable facts about this virus that mm-hmm. I think it'd be interesting for people to do their own research into and check out for themselves.
Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. That's just a little peep of what we were dabbling into. Also, something that I learned for the first time was these three states that you were city-states that you were talking about. Yeah,
and pertaining to the three city-states which essentially control a great deal of the decisions that are made on a global scale, that being Washington, D.C., the military capital of the world essentially, London, England, which is the financial capital, and then you've got the Vatican, which is the spiritual or the religious capital. So yeah, we were talking about a whole lot of stuff earlier, but
yeah,
it's just
deepness.
Skimming the surface.
If y'all want to know more about that, search it up.
True enough.
Do your
research. Do your own research.
I can see that this pandemic has not gotten in the way for you and your music. You just dropped an EP.
Most def.
Yeah, so you want to get into that a little bit and tell us how this project came about during the quarantine time?
Absolutely, yeah. Initially, I was a little discouraged because a project that I had been working on by the name of Smoke and Mirrors, I was planning to put it out in December of 2019, but a lot of things fell by the wayside, mixing, collaborations, and other things like that. So initially, as I said, I was a bit discouraged, but we put together a little studio setup at home. Had a microphone, computer, we even had a little gym set up in this room, so everything was all very self-contained. And so as inspiration hit us, so to speak, I just began to write and eventually record. And within about 3 weeks that the recording process was done, and then another 3 weeks it took us to promote initially, release some content, some teaser videos and stuff like that, shoot a music video. And we released it in about a month and a half. So that's how Never Forget Loyalty Volume 1 came together. Okay,
is there Volume 2 that might be?
It's, I've started to record some stuff, but who knows what the next project will be named. It may not necessarily be a continuation of that series just as yet, but we'll see.
Okay. And you also mentioned that you had the idea of Smoke and Mirrors to put out. Is that going to see us anytime soon, or what's going to happen with that?
Like I said, I don't think that project will ever be released, in and of itself, but I have been releasing singles, just certain tracks here and there from the project, stuff like Inhaling and What You Call That, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also some previous singles I released last year, Paper and Two Flame, were actually from that project.
Did you release any projects last year? Is this your first EP or album?
This is actually my fourth project, third solo project. So I released The Bear Market in 2017. I released a collaborative EP with an artist by the name of Eddie Clips named Unbelievable. And also in 2018, I released a mixtape by the name of Hevel. So because of that, it's been about 2 years since I released an actual project, but there were a lot of other lanes I was focused in during that period of time. So I had to take a little step back from music.
Okay. And have those other lanes been working well for you? Or have you been focusing on them still, or?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have your hand in multiple pots. You got to be driving in many lanes, But I think it's essential to keep focus on one aspect, and then once you've accomplished certain milestones in that lane, then you can move on to the next.
Work your way
Absolutely.
through it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So. I'm wondering, were you born in Calgary?
Yeah, I actually was born in Calgary.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why you give me maybe you came from America vibes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before.
No?
Nah.
Like New York or something, or honestly, the first time I ever heard your voice, I thought you were from the UK. I thought you had a British voice or
That's
accent.
crazy. Okay.
Yeah. That's so funny.
But nah, definitely born and raised in Calgary.
Okay. What's your ethnicity? What's your background?
My mom is from Trinidad and Tobago, and my dad is born and raised in Canada.
Oh, it's Emancipation Day for you guys today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, happy Emancipation Day.
So, appreciate you.
So when did you actually get yourself involved into the rap game, or get yourself involved into the music game?
Honestly, I've been writing for years. I was writing all throughout high school. I wrote my first rap when I was 5 years old or something like that. But looking back, it was probably some straight foolishness. But, I initially started recording in about 2016, I'm gonna say, when me and some friends I went to high school with, artist by the name of Cash Coley and another artist by the name of Victor Speck, they had this home studio in the basement, and one day after work, these guys invited me over, and I'd always been writing in my phone. I had lyrics after lyrics in my phone, so I just decided to try putting it on a beat for the first time. And I don't know, it was love at first record, I suppose you could say. It was just something that I find it's a lot of enjoyment, writing and recording, but also it's the ability to share your perspectives with someone else when. On a greater scale, on a bigger scale than just regular conversation.
And yeah, speaking of perspectives, you actually have a lot of visuals on your page.
Yes.
I saw you have 4 episodes of some type of something that's cooking in the pot. So do you want to touch on that for some people that haven't seen it or don't know what's going on?
Absolutely. Yeah, those were initially little teaser trailers to preview the tracks off of Never Forget Loyalty.
Okay.
So the first track was called Just Another Day, so that was sort of the whole theme behind it. Each episode was going to be an aspect of just another day in the life, so to speak. Get up, get some push-ups in, get to recording. Then the next episode was a little collaboration with a friend of mine named Didi Wave, who's a producer in the city. And the other one was me going down to the track, because I usually hit the track near my house and, get some exercise in on a daily basis. Another episode was just, sort of a look into the entrepreneurial aspect of things in an office that we use downtown. So it was just, like I said, just another day in the life, more or less.
So why did you decide to go with that route?
I think that in terms of music, a lot of people buy into the lifestyle of the artist, because oftentimes people try to portray something that isn't necessarily them. But me, I'd prefer to just let people see what I'm doing on a daily basis, rather than rent a Airbnb, rent a nice whip, whatever the case is, and try to show off and stunt for the video, flex a little cash and shit. I feel like it's more legitimate when you just do what is natural to you, and people can resonate with it if they resonate with it.
So how do you keep yourself aligned and keeping yourself thinking in this type of mentality, in this type of state, not getting yourself into any havoc or trouble?
I mean, there's always a little trouble here and there, but really and truly, I like to, as I was saying earlier in our conversation, I like to just stay humble. And one of the ways you can stay humble is through conversation, because you can see that other people have varying perspectives and other people have varying degrees of knowledge and experience that you may not necessarily have. So through conversation, you really see what else is out there in the world and how much more there is to know.
Talking about the world, what does success mean to you? World domination, taking over the world?
Nah, nothing crazy like that. But success to me is living comfortably, doing what you enjoy doing. Me personally, I really enjoy being able to spend time with family. There's a few things more important to me than family. So what I feel it would be success is just being able to monetize something that I enjoy doing while also at the same time having a lot of time to spend with family. That's my view of success.
Family, do they have your support in music?
Yeah, absolutely. I try not to, let nobody hear no cursing or nothing like that, but yeah, there's definitely support there.
Okay, that's awesome. And have they helped you actually get into that career, or what's inspired you to actually get into this music industry?
In terms of inspiration, like I've been listening to hip hop since I was probably like 4 years old. So I have certain artists that I looked up to for years. One of my favorite artists of all time will be Nas. So I remember the first time I heard the song "I Can" by Nas. That was like one of the ones that first made me want to actually write something, because I was like, whatever this is incredible. So I wanted to sort of emulate that. But in terms of family, I wouldn't necessarily say family has gotten me down the hip hop route, but I did take piano lessons when I was younger. So I took piano lessons for about 10 years, from the time I was 5 to 15 or so. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us 2 other things that we don't know about you?
Shoot, I don't know. I feel like Kawhi right now. You gotta ask me more than that. No, but 2 things people don't
like
know
random things, doesn't even have to relate to music, like anything. I can wiggle my ears like without moving my face, like I don't know, something random.
Something random.
It doesn't even have to be like weird.
I don't know. Me personally, I love to read.
Okay.
Like in grade 2, for example, I read 1,000 books in the school year. So.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I actually have a trophy at home. It's like
Holy. Yeah. Okay.
So.
That makes sense why you have a lot going on in the noggin.
I mean, like I said, there's always more knowledge to be gained.
So when you're talking about inspiration, some of the people that you talked on, who do you think for yourself is the all-time top 5 artists that inspire you into your music and your creativity?
It's a good question. The top 5 artists that inspire me, I'd probably have to say Freddie Gibbs, Nas. Sounds kind of like stereotypical to say this, but Tupac definitely, because I've been resonating with his music from the time I was about 5 years old. So Freddie Gibbs, Nas, Tupac. I really like Wale's music.
Yeah.
And
He's a vibe.
most definitely. And I don't know, I'm gonna throw a typical one in there, J. Cole.
Do you think that whole problem with J. Cole and No Name was controversial, or?
I mean, to a certain degree, I feel like it was like much ado about nothing. Like I don't necessarily see that there was any tension or should have been any tension there. You know, I mean, some people deal with, obviously there's a lot of things going on these days pertaining to the perspectives of people pertaining to police brutality, and people deal with that in different ways. Some, like we were saying earlier, some people may feel as though the best way that they can affect change is through protest.
Yeah.
Others feel the best way they can affect change is by strengthening the community. Other ways people may feel they can affect changes by building black businesses and supporting each other. So I feel it all depends on what the individual feels is the best path to take. But whatever you feel, you have to stay on your path and move forward. That's the way I see it.
Name me one tune on your phone that's on repeat, that just won't stop? Name me one track on your phone that's on repeat, replay.
The one track on my phone that's on repeat? Man, these tough questions.
Bumping.
There's a track by Freddie Gibbs, and it's off his 2014 album Pinata. It's a track called Scarface. It's the second track on the album. That track is on repeat, and it's actually one of the bigger influences I had while I was writing Never Forget Loyalty, as a matter of fact. So.
Which one of your tracks from Never Forget Loyalty is your favorite?
My favorite is a track called Innocent.
Innocent?
Yeah, it's
And
the
why is
second
it-
last on the album.
Why is that your favorite?
The reason that's my favorite is because it's aspirational. On the hook I say, we in the feeling, finna make a killing, stack another million, now we about to cop the building. So I like to speak things into existence prior to them actually occurring, and I feel that that's an example of that. So
Manifestation.
exactly.
Do you mix and produce your own music, or?
To a certain degree. Like I'll do an initial mix when I first record, but then I'll send it off and have someone else mix and master it fully, because I'd like to get into that, because that way you can master your sound and produce things precisely how you want them, but it's a process, so eventually.
Steps to it. Have you ever had any live performances, or?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, we one of the biggest live performances we had was a few years ago. I'd say we brought out about 300 people to Music Calgary, 200-300 people, and packed that place out. Me and the people I was recording with at the studio at the time, Cash Coley, an artist named 17, an artist named Victor Speck, and Eddie Clips. Yeah, we put together a pretty big show, but since then I've done a lot of different shows out in Vancouver, in Edmonton, other places like that. Unfortunately, it's been difficult to get on the stage right now due to the whole pandemic that's going on, but I can't wait to get back on stage, because it's one of the most satisfying feelings as an artist to be able to perform.
How do you get over those nerves when you touch stage?
That's a good question. I feel you just have to get into it. Like if you just step on stage and start moving, because previously I used to feel a lot of nerves and tension before performances, but the minute you get on the stage, that all sort of goes away. So it's just a matter of, like, ain't nothing to it but to do it, so to speak.
You don't imagine everybody in their underwear and just like what everybody usually says?
I prefer not to imagine people in their underwear for the most part.
Okay. Can we expect more visuals from Never Forget Loyalty?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm planning on shooting 1 or 2 more. I just shot a video for Just Another Day, and most likely I'll be shooting one for Innocent and one for My People.
Okay, for your favorite track, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
What up, it's your boy Nova Kane. It was summer, you know what I'm saying, at K9 Studios. Sunset Madness 2 coming out soon, make sure you cop that. Fuck with me.
So I feel like your music is pretty woke, very conscious rap, and it shows from the people that you're influenced by. With everything that's happening right now, how do you feel like your music ties in with current events, and how do you feel about the industry tackling the current events?
Well, the final track on Never Forget Loyalty is a track by the name of My People. It's like, on the hook I say, where my people at? Questions I've been asking lately. Turn my head up to the sky, just praying, can you save me? So, oftentimes we're caught up in a world that's pretty crazy these days, and personally I feel as though the way I can not only come to terms with things, but also work best within this environment that we have to deal with currently, is by keeping in mind that you have to look at things through a spiritual perspective as well as a physical perspective. Apart from that, on the track My People, I speak about the fact that we're much more than black or white, because as I was saying earlier, those are corporate designations. That's not truly race. So a white is not a race and black is not a race. We have to keep in mind that race is your seed or your tribe. So that really gives, if you're aware of what your seed or tribe is, it really gives you an understanding of what your culture is, what your history is, and the type of moves you should be making, because is a standard to live up to. So I feel as though I present an image in my music that allows people to understand that there's more to life than just the everyday hustle. Of course, everyone has to deal with those things, paying bills, worrying about family, worrying about, you know, interactions and relationships and stuff like that. But there's also another side of the coin to focus on.
Because of the industry and everything that's going on right now, do you feel like it's hard for you to speak on things, maybe because of the color of your skin? You're not dark enough, you're not light enough, you're kind of lost for words, or where do you stand with this?
That's an interesting question. To be real with you, I never feel as though that's the case, because you can only look at things from your perspective, and your perspective is based on your life experience, what you've learned, and you know how you view the world essentially. So, and oftentimes, in reference to the music itself, I feel that people respect the skill set. You know, they appreciate that I don't mean to brag, but they appreciate that I'm good at what I do as a rapper. You know, so I don't think there's much bias based on skin color, because of the fact that I put a lot into my craft, and I think that shows. That's demonstrated in the work I put out.
Is there a stage that you always envisioned yourself on, that you've always wanted to perform on?
Honestly, I'd love to perform at one of those big music festivals, something like Coachella or you know, the Rolling Loud or something like that. Like that's the type of level I'd like to be on. But at the same time, I'd also like to be the one that is able to create something like that within this city. As someone who's able to put together a music festival full of artists that are based here and have begun their lives or lived the majority of their lives within Calgary, because I feel there's not as much opportunity for artists here, at least there hasn't been in the past. So the way I see it, when you create opportunities for yourself, then more will come. So like I said, I'd love to be performing on those large scale stages, but I'd also like to create that type of environment in this city.
And when you have the chance to actually perform with somebody on the stage, is there one person that you want to really perform with?
Wow. Like I said, Nas is my favorite rapper, so if I was ever to be able to perform with Nas, that'd be an accomplishment for me.
Have you done any interviews before? Is this your first one?
I've done a couple of interviews here and there. I believe what is needed in the music industry in Calgary is for people to, a few things, to be honest with you. One, not to chase trends, not to chase ideas that other people think are cool. You have to sort of make your own cool, because that's what everybody in any city that is represented by hip-hop does. Places like Los Angeles, places like Atlanta, places like New York, they don't look to other places and see, oh, that's cool, I want to copy that. They say, you know what, I'm gonna do some fly shit and I'm gonna stick to what I do. Number one. Number two, like I said earlier, I feel that people need to create their own opportunities, because no one's gonna give you anything on a silver platter. It's up to you as an artist to create your own opportunities for shows, to build relationships. And what's also great is, you know, the emergence of media within the city. One thing that's essential is media that can propel artists who are putting in that work to another level and put them on a pedestal or a platform that can be seen by a greater audience.
Collaboration and working together.
Absolutely.
Building. What does RTC Profit stand for? Give us a little insight on your name.
Initially, my name was just Prophet because my real name is Elijah. So it was a play on words, Prophet Elijah in the Bible, and then a play on words for PROFIT in terms of currency, dollars. So the thing is, my Instagram name years ago was the Dreaded Prophet, because I had locks that were like, I grew locks for about 7 years. I cut them 2 years ago and I'm now regrowing them. So I was called the Dreaded Prophet, and it was a double entendre, so to speak, because it was about the ugly side of what people had to do to acquire funds, but also just a reference to, you know, my physical appearance. So I started to release music under the name Prophet, but there were a whole lot of artists on Spotify and Apple Music just named Prophet. So the movement that we were starting was a movement called Rise to Conquer. Rise to conquer the isms, rise to conquer racism, sexism, classism. That was initially the primary goal of it, you know? So I utilized that, which is also the name of the record label that we're building, RTC, as like a prefix before the name, so RTC Profit.
Okay, I was gonna ask, who's a part of this team? Is it close friends? Is it business partners?
Yeah, it's definitely close friends. We like to keep everything in-house. We got in-house photographers, videographers. Shout out AJ Birdie. Got an in-house producer. Shout out Didi Wave. And then my man who's just, we're working on this little entrepreneurial endeavor to, just fund the motive,
Sick. That's awesome. You have like a lot of hope for 2020, 2021 in the future.
Absolutely.
Big dreams.
True facts.
Okay, what's your like guilty snack that you munch on? Well, not munch because you don't smoke. So, just like your guilty little snack.
Shoot, it's probably, I don't know, I barely eat candy these days, but I remember back in the day I used to love Pixie Sticks, those little sugar straws. That shit is garbage.
Yeah.
But, I used to love those back in the day.
When you grow up, you're like, oh shit, that was not worth it.
For real.
But how do you keep such a good base around you to keep you aligned and to keep you grounded? And how did you actually know to take those friends or those people around you legit and seriously?
I mean, the people that surround me, we all resonate on a certain level because, we all had similar interests growing up, These are people I've known for years. We all had interest in sports, or we all had similar interests in music, or, we had similar worldviews and understandings of the world. So that's how we first, came together, and then it's just common interests that sort of sparked off individual endeavors, like someone was interested in photography and videography, so they started shooting videos. Someone was interested in the creation of the sonics of the beat, so they started producing, So it really just depends on what each individual's skill set was. And in terms of staying grounded and in terms of, maintaining whatever path, I think it's upon each of us to essentially hold each other accountable, hold each other responsible, and say, if we see someone backsliding or not necessarily putting in 100% effort, or whatever the case is, we hold each other accountable and say, yo, I see you could be doing better, man. It's time to step your game up. And I expect the same from them in turn, So
Important. That's a major key, accountability.
Absolutely.
And you're only talking because you care.
True
and you
facts.
actually want to see success within your whole team. Are you signed to anybody right now?
No, not just working independent for the moment.
Okay, you're working on your own thing.
Yeah.
If you could be signed to any record label though, like to your dream record label, who would it be?
If you asked me that question 3 years ago, I probably would have said something like Interscope or Dreamville or something like that. But these days I really feel as though independent maneuvers within the music industry is really the lane to go, because you have complete control over the creative aspect of your music. You have creative control. You don't have to be owing anybody at the end. There's no one that can say that they're in control of your success. Whatever your successes are and whatever your downfalls are, you are entirely responsible for that. So there's no blame game and there's no one else taking credit.
So let's take it, instead of 3 years back, 5 years forward from now. Where do you see yourself?
Surely 5 years from now, I see myself on tour, possibly in Europe, possibly in the States. Having released multiple projects by then. And at that point, I'd really like to be able to have music be truthfully a side hustle, to be honest with you, because I feel once you reach a certain platform or a certain level in any given endeavor, it's time to move on to something else. So I feel as though 5 years from now, I will hope to have accomplished all that I aim to in terms of music and be moving on to something else, whether that's, some type of industry or whatever the case is,
So you like champagne because you're a celebratory man.
Yeah, something like that.
That's why you only like to drink on occasion, because, okay, do you get 200 an occasion? Every occasion 200?
It is what it is.
Do you bump your own music?
Oh, absolutely, got to.
Yeah.
I feel if you don't listen to your own music regularly just while you're in the car driving, you shouldn't be making music. Because you have to believe in what you're creating, you know? That's essential in my opinion. So absolutely.
It doesn't feel weird, it just feels natural?
Nah, I mean, it feels sick. And if, you know, like
oh shit, this is me!
Yeah, for real, you're knocking the music loud and, you know, people's heads are turning, whatever the case is, it feels good, you know? So.
If you weren't rapping and if you weren't in the music game, what would you be doing?
Wow, if I wasn't making music. If I wasn't making music, I feel I would probably be like an architect or something like that, you know, something pertaining to the development of communities, because I feel as though the development of the Black community is something that we need essential in this city especially, you know, so I think that's probably the lane I'd take.
What was the last job that you've worked?
The last job I worked, I was in a kitchen. I was working at, where was I at? A spot in Bridgeline called The Main Dish. I've been working in kitchens for years as a line cook and a chef, so just working in that industry for so long, you kind of get tired of it. Plus, there's more to the food industry than cooking. I always say that industry per se is something that kind of throws a wrench into the plans, because food, I love food. I'm not a big fan of the food industry. I love music. I'm not a big fan of the music industry. So I feel when you allow certain things to almost corrupt the process, that's when you have to take a step back from them. So, but yeah, the last job I worked was as a line cook.
So if you were a line cook, is there any recommendations on places you would tell the mandems to take shorties?
That's a good question.
A good spot.
Let me think. Me, I'm a big fan of ramen. I don't know if anyone else is a fan of ramen out here.
So good.
But there's a spot on 4th Street downtown called Jinya. That's my favorite ramen spot in the city. Okay. Jinya.
Check that spot out.
Yeah, most def.
Okay. Is that where you take your people, or you go your little dates?
Every once in a while.
Okay. Okay. So if you get taken to ramen, then you know it's real.
Yeah, true facts.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And not only do I want, can you share a restaurant recommendation, but I think you could actually share a book recommendation you were talking about earlier.
Powernomics, yes. By Claude Anderson. Yeah, it's just a book essentially about building Black wealth and maintaining the wealth within the community, circulating dollars, and creating a strong economic sustainability within the Black community. So that's a book I definitely recommend.
So before we wrap things up, do you have anything to share about how to deal with any haters, people that don't really F with your music, or people that kind of want to talk down on what you're doing? How do you cope with that?
I think really and truly, if someone doesn't resonate with the music you make, then it's just not for them. There's sometimes you see people, putting negative comments on social media or whatever the case is, and I feel that they do that simply because they see that certain people are pushing forward and making endeavors and making moves in certain lanes that they're not willing to sacrifice to make that progress in. So I feel the haters, so to speak, is not really anything to pay much attention to. Like those who resonate with you will, and those who don't resonate with you won't. But at the end of the day, you have to do what it is you're doing for yourself first and foremost, and then it depends on whether or not people, mess with you. So that's about it.
Well, do you want to let everybody know what you're up to next? If you got anything dropping, more visuals, give them where they can find you.
Okay, most def. Well, again, probably gonna drop 2 new videos off the project. Never Forget Loyalty, for the tracks Innocent and For My People. And then after that, we're planning on, actually I've got another EP in the works, probably going to drop that by fall sometime. And in terms of social media, you can just reach me at RTC Profit on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, everything.
Okay, bet.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Most definitely.
And you're gonna be gracing us with a performance, so you guys stay tuned in for that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care and watch out for the next episode of Sessions.